Bring in, I don't want to bring in, he's been here in studio since the interview, Nate Morabito. I know we're going to talk about a separate story that you're working on. I just want to get your reaction, your feedback from that interview with North Carolina Auditor Dave Bullock. If you're just joining us, he talked about the investigation into cats following that fatal stabbing. Also, he talked about the special report on the payment to CMPD Chief Johnny Jennings that is set to be released sometime between today and Friday. I just want to get your takeaways from that interview.
It seems to be the new normal now. Mm-hmm. There is a large news item in the state of North Carolina, particularly in Charlotte. Mm-hmm. There is going to be an audit of some kind, especially if there's public money involved. That's the message he sent with the Johnny Jennings audit to begin with. And that is the message he sent most recently looking into the cat's murder. That being said, people will still say, hey, what about the politics? But he did do a pretty good job of answering that, I thought, and saying that he took an oath to not look at this from a partisan standpoint. They're looking at it from a strictly, how is this affecting everyday life for people? And I'm always in favor of audits as long as they're fair and across the board. I think they're great because they're revealing. And he mentioned that one water department where I think they found an employee that was doing some things that were not
Mount Olive. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've always welcomed them. I always look at audits. I'd recommend people usually on Tuesdays when the City of Charlotte puts any new audits out. You can see them on your website. I'm always looking at them and Mecklenburg County's audits too, because both there is an internal audit and then you have the state, which is the oversight, the additional oversight. So I think it's always welcome as long as it's done in good faith and with the intention of benefiting the public and protecting our money. I don't know that anyone would be opposed to that.
And I think, we learned some new information about, their investigation, what that will entail, and also even that special report into CMPD Chief Johnny Jennings.
Yeah, I mean, he basically broke some news to us today that basically the report's going to find that the city needs to be more transparent moving forward when it comes to spending public money, particularly paying employees in private. And the city didn't agree with everything, but overall agreed with the general sentiment.
And didn't say corruption. I know you asked him about that, but it that did not.
Fair point. Did not. He would not call it corruption.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's go to a story that it runs tonight at 6. Is aware
also in the city of Charlotte.
Also in the city of Charlotte. Let's keep it going. All right. So we're talking about the mayor's racial equity initiative, which covers you're talking about $250 million. Hopefully, I'm not off.
That's right. That's correct. Yeah, this was a public-private announcement that she made. Mayor Vi Lyles made in November 2021. We're almost 4 years later, and we know that there are people wondering, well, where'd the money go? How much has been spent? What is it being used for? Where hasn't the money been spent? And so I really started looking into this a long time ago because I really wanted to get a clear idea for the public of at least the public dollars, where they have gone.
Yeah.
And so under the Mayor's Racial Equity Initiative, which essentially is trying to correct long-standing generational inequities in our communities. I wanted to figure out from the public standpoint, where is that money right now? And one of the focus areas is corridors of opportunity. That's those 6 different neighborhoods in the city of Charlotte that are considered the greatest need and maybe the most under-resourced over time. And we were able to find out after months of trying to really understand how much money is in the pot and how much has been spent. There's about $112 million public dollars that the city of Charlotte is in control of to help in these communities. And of that, only a third has been spent so far. So 4 years, a third of the money has been spent.
That's alarming.
To me it was, because I felt like there's a lot more money still out there and a great need. And if we're talking about racial inequities, we're talking about generations, a long time of problems, right? So to me, it seemed interesting to figure out, well, what's going on and what's the explanation and what are they doing to fast track some of this. Particularly, I was kind of honing in on a couple areas. Improvements in neighborhoods, housing, which is a major issue in our city, and then pedestrian safety was also interesting to me because you're an anchor. How often are you reporting that a pedestrian's been killed in our city?
A lot.
It's a problem. Right, it is a problem. And it should not be happening. And one of the things that really struck me is just how little of the money had gone toward pedestrian safety, and we were able to find in kind of the Sugar Creek corridor at least 2 people who've died being hit by a car this year alone, and that there's that money that's there to help.
Right.
So what we did is we first and foremost got the available data and records from the city. That's the general process, to get an idea of, okay, what's the breakdown? By the way, you can go to WCNC.com right now and take a look at this. You can pull up the numbers yourself and take a look at it as we're talking. I think that'd be great if you wanted to do it, to follow along. And we reached out to Kenny Robinson. Kenny Robinson, I've known for several years. He runs a nonprofit in our city. He's formerly incarcerated. He's a big believer in second chances, and he's a big proponent of racial equity. And he's been fighting for that for a long time. In fact, he was one of the lucky people to be in the room, to be invited when the mayor announced this initiative back in 2021. So we called him up, we interviewed him about this, and he said, you know, I'm glad to see some of these numbers because we didn't know where some of the money was going. I'm also curious why some of the money hasn't been spent. And take a listen to why this is important and why he's keeping tabs on this.
Review. As somebody who is steadily fundraising, you go to certain funders who contributed to this initiative, who are kind of like, you know, we've already given in that area, right? And this is how much we gave in that area. So it is on my mind quite frequently. But the good news is we have some information where we didn't have any. I mean, we didn't know which direction to go. It's not like you call up the mayor's office and request this kind of information. It does take some work.
It should be more accessible.
Easily accessible with just a link that you can click. And it should be celebrated and highlighted more for the things that have been done.
I guess my takeaway, sorry about that, my takeaway from this, cautiously optimistic in a way, but that's kind of what my takeaway from it. Again, he said, yeah, we should champion what has been done so far, but a little skeptical.
I mean, here's the thing too. You know, the mayor lent her name to this initiative.
Yeah.
So I think the public thinks, well, the mayor is keeping tabs on this, right? And has oversight over this. And the truth is the city only has oversight of the corridors of opportunity. There's a lot of private donations that have gone to Johnson C. Smith University, to the Charlotte Business Alliance, to Queens University to help with the digital divide. And also the Foundation for the Carolinas is an administrator of this. So there's really all of these buckets of money and not one person overseeing it, which makes it very challenging to figure out where all the money's gone. And if you think about, how long have you been here now?
About 2 years.
Okay, so this was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years probably feels like how many lifetimes in the news cycle in Charlotte?
It feels like 10 years.
I mean, it's a lot. There is a lot that happens here, a lot that grabs our attention. And what we can't do is we can't forget about other things that are important in our community. And I think that's part of what my job is, as I mentioned when the auditor was here, is to make sure things don't fall through the cracks. We know that bureaucrats in part are trusted with helping spend this money. And so now the next question is, well, what are they doing to make sure it's spent quickly and appropriately? And so we interviewed the interim planning director for the city of Charlotte, Monica Carney Holmes, to ask her some of these questions. She says there's no delays, but you have design timelines, you have construction timelines, you have $40 million worth of federal money, extra red tape that can slow things down as well. And she totally, you're going to hear her say this in a second, she totally understands why people could say, well, why can't we move any faster? Take a look at a response.
It is a huge responsibility that I personally don't take lightly, and I know that our staff does not take it lightly either. I think we are committed to generational change and economic upward mobility for residents in the city of Charlotte, and we see this work and the city's role in this work as being critical and pivotal, and we're committed to keeping up the work and keeping it moving forward.
All right, so she says, obviously she doesn't take this lightly. I do have to ask, and I know I feel like I know the answer to this question. What did Mayor Vi Lyles have to say? Because she's up for re-election. She won her primary yesterday. The election's in November. And as you mentioned earlier, there's so many other things happening in the city. Oh, yeah, including this a couple of investigations into cats. Also into CNPD Chief Johnny Jennings. I know these are not related, but that's just add that to the pot.
I mean, in between the two, I was asking for a comment from her, basically. And she told me she's very proud of how far, and this is in a statement, how far the city has come through its Corridors of Opportunity program, acknowledging there is still more work to do. But she said, look, this is the largest investment out of the whole mayor's racial equity initiative, and it surpassed the initial goal. And they know it's making change. There are examples of things that have been changed already because of this. Her point is that this is going to continue long after she's mayor, and it's going to affect the city for years and generations to come. And so while we may want a quick fix, I think that they are of the mindset that we want to do this right. We want to make sure we are making meaningful impact as quick as we can. And I think that's one issue where the city can sometimes be criticized about. You know, if you look how long it took for us to see meaningful change, like an actual plan to make all the rest of us feel safer on the light rail, it took some time and some national attention after the murder here. What does it take to ensure the fire is still on our public officials, both elected and bureaucrats, to make sure that they're feeling the pressure, that our expectations are as high as they can possibly be, that you're going to spend the money efficiently, and you're going to do so in a way that makes our community better? That's a lot of pressure for them. But the more of us that are paying attention and the more of us that ask these questions, I think the better off we all are.
Do you get a sense, I know and this is my last question before I let you go, Nate, do you get a sense that this initiative could be expedited a bit because she is up against an election? And obviously we don't know what's going to happen in November. Some of this is expedited. Some of the work they want to do is expedited.
No, I think she's kind of like she is for the city of Charlotte. I think she's a symbolic face and name for this program, much like she is in the city. You know, in the city of Charlotte, the city manager has the control, and the council has control over the city manager. That's how it works. It's not like some other big cities where the mayor, it's a full-time job, and they have actual power. The mayor has a voice that is essentially a spokesperson for the city and should guide a lot of the policy and vision for the city. But I think that what happened here is that you have all of these different groups trying to do something that's unprecedented, and no one really being the leader of it. Thankfully, there's a large pot of public money that belongs to us, that we can say, where is this money going? Should you be spending it faster? Private donors that gave the rest of it, they can be asking those questions. And I think that, you know, Kenny makes a good point. It would be great if there was some dashboard that could be updated for all of these things. How many laptops have gone out to the community? How many people of color are now in C-suite jobs as one of the stated goals? To have some metrics here to figure out what the impact has been. But this is still early, and even in the corridors of opportunity, the estimated planning date to spend all the money is 2032. So in their mind, it's still early, and they have made some strides. The question is it fast enough, and is it having enough impact? Could there be more impact? And that's really up to the public to decide.
Nate Morabito, I got a chance to read his story. I like to read through the story before I actually watch the story.
It's kind of in depth.
Yeah, it's really in depth story. Make sure you check it out tonight at 6 on this on the mayor's racial equity initiative. Nate, thank you for your time, man.
Appreciate you.
And thank you for your assist in this interview with North Carolina Auditor Dave Bullock earlier today.
Happy to do important questions for sure.
Of course. All right. Thank you, Nate.